Hey teachers, Rachel Parlett from the Classroom Nook, and in this video I'm going to show you how to assign resources to your students in Google Classroom. The first thing you need to do, obviously, is to go into your Google Classroom. So I've set up a test one here. I'm going to click on it. I'm on the teacher end here, and you need to go to Classwork, and you're going to click Create. And then you can choose which option you want here, but most likely you're going to choose an assignment. If you're assigning them some sort of task to do within Google Classroom, you can click on Assignment. Here you can give it a title. Let's say I want to assign them my Westward Expansion activity packet. And then I can provide any directions or instructions that I need to give them. And then I'm going to click on Add. Now you have a couple options here depending on what you're assigning them. If you're assigning them a Google Slides resource, you're going to click on it in your Google Drive. Make sure it's saved in the same Google Drive that you are using for your Google Classroom. You can assign them a specific link to something. You can attach a file like a PDF file, or you can assign them to go to a YouTube video and watch that as well. I'm going to click on Google Drive for this example, and I'm going to choose the Westward Expansion packet that I want to give my students. So I'm going to click on the Google Slides file and click on Add. Now this is where a lot of teachers go through some hiccups here, because if I'm assigning something to a student that everybody needs to have their own copy of because they're going to type into it, I do not want to leave it as students can view file, because they won't be able to make their changes. I want to click on Make a copy for each student. You don't want to choose Students Can Edit File, because that means all students are going to be editing off the same file. You want to give them each their own copy. Now, if you are just giving them something to look at, go ahead and leave it at Students Can View File. Or if you do have a file that you want all students to be able to contribute to the same file, then you're going to choose Students Can Edit File. But if it's something that they're going to be working on independently, you need to make a copy for each student. And then once you do that, you can do a couple other things here. You can only assign it to certain students. I only have one student in my classroom, myself, because it's a test, but you can assign it to certain students. This is really nice if you do have some differentiated options. You can assign some students one version of the resource and assign other students another version. It's depending on how you have it set up. You can assign it a point value. You can give it a due date. And if you are in your Google Classroom and you've set up specific topics in your Google Classroom. If you haven't and you're totally new, don't worry about that at this point. But if you do want to organize your resources into, say, subjects, you can create a topic. I've created one for Westward Expansion so that all of the resources that I assign for this unit can go in that topic. It makes it easy for students to find. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Westward Expansion. And then if I have a rubric I want to attach, I can do that here. But I don't for this example. So I'm just going to click on Assign. You can also schedule it out if you're not ready to give it to your students just yet. Or you can save it as a draft if you want to come back to it and add to it later. You can also, I want to mention, you can add more than one thing here. So if I have an article I also want them to read along with this assignment, in addition to the activity packet that they're going to be typing on, I could add that as well. And I'm going to go ahead and create Assign. Now let me show you what this looks like on the student end. So now I'm signed in as a student. I'm going to go in and I have the option to go to Stream, Classwork, or People. So in the Stream, it's going to show any recent things that I have assigned or put on Google Classroom for my students. But in the Classwork is where they can go to the individual assignment. And so remember how I said there's different topics that you could assign a resource into? If you've set that up, you can click on that specific topic and it will bring up only those resources that are related to Westward Expansion. And this is the one that I just recently assigned to my students, and they can click on it. And over here is where they actually click on the Google Slide resource if it's something that they have to work on. And then when they're done, they can turn it in. They can click on this Turn In button, and then you will receive notification in your Google Classroom that a student has turned in an assignment. So that's how you would assign a resource inside of Google Classroom.